Copilot and OneDrive turning files into structured insights. Your day doesn't start with analysis. It starts with files. Before you can make a decision, you are searching. This episode focuses on Copilot inside OneDrive and how it supports document-heavy workflows. You'll learn how to summarize multiple files at once, compare versions instantly, ask target questions across documents, turn source materials into structured FAQs, extract data from images, and then we're going to end with generate quick audio briefings. Let's get into the demos. Let's start with the most common scenario, quickly understanding files before deciding what deserves deeper review. And we can do that by asking questions through Copilot. Let's say that you stepped into a role mid-year, you opened up OneDrive, and you see these files. You have policies, you have service contracts, and other supporting documents. You don't know what has changed, what stayed consistent, what is optionally required. In OneDrive, you have to hover over the file to see the Copilot icon. And that's what opens up the Copilot chat window. And we're going to ask a question. Once we have the pane open, now you can start selecting up to 5 documents that you want to review. And I'm going to paste in our prompt. And the prompt says, list the top 3 recurring obligations across these files. Group similar obligations together and keep each point under 2 sentences. Again, if you remember, we want the prompt to include the goal, the context, how we want it to be formatted so we can get what we want. And notice here, it's telling me what documents it's reviewing and it's giving me those highlights based on what I have asked. And just like what Copilot has here, if you'd like a deeper breakdown and want to see how these obligations differ by year or contract versions, just let Copilot know. Again, we can actually continue on this conversation just like we learned earlier in other episodes. So let's take a look at a different example. I want to step back and look at each file individually. So I can click on this document. Remember, we have to hover over it. And I can just say, summarize this document. I get a view of what it is. And notice, we're getting the purpose. We're getting the scope. We're looking at policy areas. And if we want, we can continue to ask questions, but this is good enough. If we also wanted to summarize 2 documents, make sure that you open up, ask a question, and select the second document. We can enter in our prompt asking for the same information. Let's say we really wanted to narrow this down, and we can go ahead and hit generate and get the information now, not only for 1 document, but for 2 documents. Let's compare some files using Copilot. One of the great things is Copilot compares documents based on the meaning, not the format. So if you look here, I have 3 financial documents, 25, which is a Word document, and a PowerPoint, which is dated 2026, as well as I have a Word document also dated 2026. So let's take a look and see what the differences are. Again, I have to click on Copilot. Let's ask a question, which opens up the Copilot pane here. Now I can select my documents. I can do a couple things. I can just say, compare the differences between these files. That's great. It's based on what Copilot think is best for me. Or I can post in my prompt because it's all about, giving it guidance on what we want, right? And so we're going to generate this prompt. We're going to give it time to process because it is looking through multiple documents. And keep in mind, if these documents, because most time policy documents could be 30, 40 pages long, and so we got to allow it time to process. So this didn't take very long. I got my information here and is capturing the differences. And we can take a look and make sure, read over it, and maybe want to peek at the file to validate to make sure that this information is correct. Now, I'm going to give you a different scenario. Think about service contracts, right? Again, if we look here, I have a 24 document, 2025 and 2026. We want to take a look at that information to make sure that it's okay. Think about it's time to renew this contract, and we want to make sure that this information is correct. And let me grab my prompts here because I want to be a little bit more detailed. Compare the files, present material differences in a table format, include columns for the years, right? And more. And we want to highlight any increases in financial exposure or control changes. And let's see what Copilot comes back with. This is processing pretty fast, which is good. And now, right in front of my eyes, I can see that it is pulling in the information in this table, just like I asked, and it provided me the highlights down below. While in OneDrive, let's ask Copilot to create an FAQ. So think about this. Let's assume that internal audit or external auditors are reviewing our updated financial policy and current service contract. Before they start asking questions, I want to anticipate what they will focus on and be prepared with valid responses that are grounded in these documents. So let's enter in this prompt. So you know that I have to choose my document, click on Copilot, and pick Ask a Question. And I'm going to select my latest service contract as well. And I'm going to enter in this prompt. Again, we could have used a generic one, but I want to be really in control of what of my output should be. And so let's take a look at this prompt. It says create an audit preparation FAQ based on these documents, include 5 likely auditor questions. I chose which areas to focus on. Format the output as a structured Q&A document that I can share with my team. And let's go ahead and run this. So just that fast, it's starting to pull up some information. Copilot has looked at my documents. I got my questions, bullet pointed answers, and I am ready to go and share this information with my team. What used to be a stressful review cycle for my team and me turns into an audit ready discussion. That's a huge shift from being reactive to being in control in a fraction of time. Did you know you can generate insights from images and not from polished or formatted documents, but from real life controller notes? If I click on this document, you'll see that most of the times we may be in meetings capturing information on whiteboards, flip charts, and even, handwritten notes. And as you can see on my screen, instead of manually retyping everything, I can take a picture of it from my cell phone and let Copilot extract the text directly from this image. And so let me close this out and enter in my prompt. So I want Copilot. Yes, I can say explain this image or extract text. I'm going to run it and then explain to you what it says. Extract text from this image. We want structured information based on some sections and generate 5 executive ready bullet points explaining the key points, financial changes and risk. And it's letting me know the document that it's working with, and it started to provide me with my information. Again, I get a first draft. Make sure that you compare what Copilot has given you compared to your actual written notes. So far, we have focused on analyzing and generating information from documents and images. Now, let's change the format to how we consume our information. Let's say you are traveling, and most of us travel with our earbuds anyway. Instead of reading a 15-page policy or contract on a small mobile or tablet screen, Copilot can generate an audio overview that you can listen to as an executive summary. You'll notice that it's a single voice narration, more like a professional executive briefing. Let's pull this one up. I'm going to choose this file here, Copilot. And this time around, we're just going to say create an audio overview. Notice that we have our audio player here.
This audio summary explores the financial policy framework established for Chestnut Grove Cafe, effective January 1st, 2026.
Let's also do it again so you can hear the podcast style version. So if I click on Copilot, choose an audio overview, automatically it's going to start. It's going to start, hit the more options, and now you can switch to podcast style.
Welcome to our overview of the financial policy framework at Chestnut Grove Cafe. Today, we're highlighting the principles and controls guiding this organization's fiscal operations.
The document outlines robust practices approved by executive management. Its purpose is to establish enhanced controls, reporting standards, and expectations as the cafe grows in complexity.
So what's different is you get 2 voiceovers versus just the one. Here's a tip that I want to provide you. Depending on your Wi-Fi connection while you are on the go and the length of the document, you may want to generate and save that audio file in OneDrive ahead of time so you can have the best experience. Again, the way to do that is choose Copilot, audio overview.
Welcome.
And save to OneDrive. And so again, you want a good experience. It may take a longer time depending on type of your Wi-Fi connection. Copilot in OneDrive doesn't remove human responsibility. It reduces the low impact but necessary tasks that may slow us down. The bottom line, Copilot can improve your workflow by 30%, whether it's audit season, contract renewals, or executives reporting.